السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والتسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا يا أرحم الراحمين. Oh Allah, teach us what benefit us, increase us in knowledge, good morals and good deeds ya أرحم الراحمين. Still continuing about Sayyiduna Uthman bin Affan radiyallahu anhu ardah, this great Sahabi, Dhul Nurayn, the possessor of the two lights. And we mentioned he's the only person in history who got this honor, which is to get married to two daughters of a prophet. That's Sayyidah Ruqayya radiyallahu anha, and after she passed away, he got married to Sayyidah Kulthum, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyiduna Uthman radiallahu anhu, as we mentioned, he was given the glad tidings of Jannah in more than one time, in more than one incident. And in one of those incidents when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was sitting at one of the wells, and Sayyidina Abu Bakr asked for permission, so Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَنْ لَهُ وَبَشِّرْهُ بِالْجَنَّةِ إِذَنْ لَهُ وَبَشِّرْهُ بِالْجَنَّةِ Give him permission and give him the glad tidings of Jannah. So he entered and he sat just next to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Umar, the same thing. When Sayyidina Uthman asked for permission, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَنْ لَهُ وَبَشِّرْهُ بِالْجَنَّةِ عَلَى بَلْوَى تُصِيبُهُ Give him permission, let him come in and give him the glad tidings of Jannah and tell him that because of a disaster or a calamity that will afflict him. And we know how Sayyiduna Uthman radiallahu anhu was murdered while he was reciting the Qur'an. This series is about the teachers and the reciters of the Qur'an who dedicated their lives to the Qur'an, to learn the Qur'an and to pass the Qur'an to the Ummah. And we mentioned that this narration that most Muslims recite in the Muslim world, it goes back to one of the people that it goes back to, it is Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. And we mentioned that almost all of the 10 narrations of the Qur'an, the 10 qira'at of the Qur'an, almost all of them, you find Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu in those chains. So Allah has blessed me, I read the Qur'an to my shaykh, and my shaykh to his shaykh back, then you find Sayyidina Uthman there. And Sayyidina Uthman obviously took it from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So this is, despite that he was a Khalifa, he was a president, and he was a merchant, despite all of his business, he dedicated some time for the Qur'an. And we can take a lesson here, that no matter how busy you are, keep some time for the Qur'an. Not only for recitation, as many of us do, no, for reflection. كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكٌ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ This is a book which is full of blessings. We have sent it to you so that they reflect on its verses. So let us inshallah take this great quality from Sayyidina Uthman. He was the Khalifa, he was the president, he had a huge land that he is in charge of, and you know the trials and the tribulations in his time. And we know also that the process of compiling the Qur'an, or to be more specific, to make copies of the Qur'an and standard copies and to spread it to the Muslim world. Despite all this, despite the conquests that took place in his time, despite his work in business and as a merchant, still he used, as the scholars mentioned, and as Imam al-Nawawi, Shaykh al-Islam radiallahu anhu, he mentioned that Sayyiduna Uthman was among the people who recited the Qur'an in one rak'ah. Did you hear that? Some people think this is not possible. It is very possible. The Qur'an is how many ajza, how many parts? It is 30 parts, right? The skillful reciter can recite the Qur'an in less than 15 minutes. So even if it takes 15 minutes, so it's almost 8 hours. 8 hours, that's the night. Sometimes the night is even longer. So 8 hours, he would recite the Qur'an in rak'ah. And this is proved about Sayyidina Uthman and about Imam Shafi'i and some few others. So they used to do this sometime, radiallahu anhum. So what an amazing man. Reciting the whole Quran in one rak'ah or in one night. When he passed away or when he was murdered, what was he doing, radiallahu anhu? He was reciting the Quran. And his blood is on that copy of the Quran that was taken to Damascus. And it remained for years, and the Qurra who narrated the Quran to us, they mentioned that they saw it with their own eyes and they saw the traces of the blood of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. We will mention about that trial in details later on inshallah, but the point here is the Quran. And I will finish this point inshallah with an amazing hadith about the Quran, that keep the Quran in your house. He said sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the hadith narrated by Imam al-Bazzar and others, إن البيت إذا قرئ فيه القرآن حضرته الملائكة وتنكبت عنه الشياطين. I remember we mentioned this hadith maybe 2 years ago. إن البيت, the house, when the Quran is recited in the house, it will be attended by the angels. The devils will run away from it, and it will be expanded on its people. اتسع على أهله وكثر خيره, and its good will be more and its evil will be less. On the other hand, وَإِنَّ الْبَيْتَ إِذَا لَمْ يُقْرَأْ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ, if the Quran is not recited in the house, حَضَرَتْهُ الشَّيَاطِينَ, it will be attended by the devils. You will find the problems between the spouses, the children, you will find shouting, you will find problems with the least reasons. For no reason you will find shouting and the spouses getting angry and the children, because a lot of shayateen playing there. In al-bayta, if the house, if the Quran is not recited in the house, it will be attended by the devils, and the angels will go away from it, and it will be tightened on its people. ضاق على أهله. Even if you live in a 3-floor house, even if you live in a mansion, you will find that it is very tight. You will find that your breast is very tight, because the Quran is not being recited there. وَكَثُرَ شَرُّهُ وَقَلَّ خَيْرُهُ. The evil will be much, the good will be less. That's the Quran, that's the light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَدْ جَاءَكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. There has come to you from Allah a light and a manifest book. So this is the effect of the Quran. And as for your heart, it's mentioned in some of the traditions that are attributed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. إِنَّ الَّذِي لَيْسَ فِي جَوْفِهِ شَيْءٌ مِّنَ الْقُرْآنِ كَالْبَيْتِ الْخَرِيبِ. The one who has nothing of the Quran in his house, in his heart, then his heart will be like a deserted house. What do they call it? A deserted house. A house that has been deserted for a long time. What will there be? You know what will there be in that type of houses? This is the example of the heart in which the Quran is missing. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who recite the Quran regularly. So keep a time for the Quran, even if you read 2 lines every day, just 2 lines every day, and try to understand the meanings and ask people of knowledge, that will be great. If you just do 2 lines every day. You cannot do 2 lines, do 1 line. So do this and take this point from Sayyidina Uthman. You will not be more busy than him, I think. You will not be more busy than the Khalifa, than the President, Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu wa arda. The other great quality about Sayyidina Uthman is his generosity. Sayyidina Uthman radiyallahu anhu, when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked Muslims to donate for the preparation of Jaysh al-Usra or Jaysh Tabuk, when the Romans were threatening the Muslim land, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam urged the believers to spend. That was very, very difficult time. And some of the hypocrites, they even did not join Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that battle to defend the Muslim land. They started saying, Ya Rasulullah, you know the Roman girls, they're beautiful and I'm afraid about myself. So don't put me into test. Don't put me into trial. I don't want to go. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposed them in Surah At-Tawbah and mentioned this ayah, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ أَذَنْ لِي وَلَا تَفْتِنِّي أَلَا فِي الْفِتْنَةِ سَقَطُوا. One of them will say, oh Allah's Messenger, don't put me into trial. You know the women and the girls of the Romans, they're beautiful, they're white, they're this. So I don't want to go. And one else will tell him, Ya Rasulullah, now it's the season for the harvest and for reaping the fruits. And if we leave now, the fruit will ruin. You see, the shaitan comes there. But the true believers, they will pass the test. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu showed an amazing example of generosity. He brought 1,000 golden or gold dinars. 1,000 gold dinars. He prepared by himself third of the army. Third of the army. Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will take these gold dinars, he will hold them like this, and they will fall on his lap sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he will say, "Ma darra Uthman ma fa'ala ba'da al-yawm." Nothing will harm Uthman after today. No matter what he did, khalas, he got it. He got Jannah radiallahu anhu, because this is a true sincerity. This shows that this person has a true iman. In the time of need, he spent. Another example of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, when the Muslims came to Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara, there was a well of water, and it was owned by one of the Ansar. And he used to take money for that water. Anyone who wants water, he needs to buy it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who is careful as always, and full of genuine concern for the believers, and he's in charge of the believers, he said, who can buy this well of water and give it to the Muslims, and he will get Jannah. Allahu Akbar. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam guarantees Jannah to the one who can buy this well of water and make it as an endowment for Muslims, so that any Muslim can just take water but for free. Then that person, the owner of the well, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I have nothing else. That's my only source of income. Then when Sayyidina Uthman heard about it, he ran to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He's from the Sabiqeen, he's from the pioneers in accepting Islam, in spending for Islam, in defending Islam. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah. He came and he said, Ya Rasulullah, does that still apply? Is the offer still there? So Rasulullah said yes. So he bought it, radiallahu anhu, and he made it as an endowment for all Muslims. All Muslims can take for free. And then look at the sincerity of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. Until this moment, in one of the banks in Saudi Arabia, or one of the establishments, the financial establishments there is an account under the name of Sayyidina Uthman bin Affan radiallahu anhu. The Khulafa, the Muslim rulers at that time, after this well was made as an endowment under the name of Sayyidina Uthman, and they started making investments, and they started generating more income and more revenues out of that well, and now there are huge positions and properties. It was all from that well and from that property that Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu bought. And until now it is an endowment, and it keeps increasing and increasing. This is zakah. Zakah means it's increasing. So it increases, it does not decrease your money, it increases it. That's the sincerity of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. Go and Google it and see the endowment of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu, and you find a big sign there in one of the places of Saudi Arabia. That's Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. So the second point here, dear brothers and sisters, to leave with inshallah, is richness is not dispraised in Islam. On the contrary, poverty means poverty is not recommended in Islam. Islam does not want you to be poor person. No. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every day, one of his dhikr, one of his adhkar is, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from disbelief and from poverty." Islam does not want you to be poor, does not want Muslims to be poor. Because when you're poor, you're weak in general. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah
than the weak believer, and in both there is good. So Islam never recommends poverty, and you seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from poverty. But what Islam wants is that you have the dunya or the money with your hand, not in your heart. That's what Islam wants. Islam does not want you to be poor. If you are poor, you cannot pay zakah. If you are poor, you cannot go on hajj. Right? If you are poor, you cannot spend. You will lose a lot of privileges. So, if you work and you do your best, then still you have a limited amount of income. Alhamdulillah. But this doesn't mean you should not seek and try to get more and to improve your financial or materialistic life. But the thing that you have to be aware is that all of these things should be in your hand, not in your heart. That's what our beloved ﷺ taught us. And this is an example, Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. A great rich Muslim. This is Sayyidina Abdurrahman bin Auf. Very rich Sahabi. Both of them, they were giving the glad tidings of Jannah. So richness is not dispraised in Islam. What is dispraised is that you fill your heart with these worldly things and worldly distractions. But if you have it in your hand and your heart is connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you use it for Islam and for benefiting Muslims, it is very praised and it is better than being poor. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill our hearts with His love. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our main concern seeking His pleasure and seeking His Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to follow the footsteps of Sayyidina Uthman radiallahu anhu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who listen to the speech and follow its best. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give relief to all of the brothers and sisters who are suffering everywhere. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa jazakumullahu khairan.
Thank you.